Job. Joining me now to talk all about this, Christina Greer, Associate Professor of Political Science at Fordham University. She's also a fellow at NYU. Evan Siegfried is a Republican strategist, and Julie Roginski, Democratic political strategist. Evan, I'm going to start with you on this. This Washington Post report claiming that there is a strained relationship now between President Trump and Chief of Staff John Kelly. Feasibly, his days could be numbered in the White House after serving as Chief of Staff for 8 months or so. Do you buy it?
Yeah, I don't think that the president and John Kelly have really been all that close. John Kelly came in at August of last year or late July, and he did start to impose some levels of discipline, which did encourage several of us Republicans who had wanted to see a less chaotic White House. But the president has chafed under that. And at the end of the day, the president is the one who decides how his White House is going to be run. And he can ignore the chief of staff. The chief of staff does not technically have authority over any president. And the president says, I'm just going to do the chaos thing. And he's announcing sending troops to the border on his own without any time to plan for it. He's announcing tariffs. If we had announced these tariffs or waited to announce them and actually gone to Wall Street and talked to people at Goldman Sachs and other banks, we would have seen less of a panic on the market and less Americans having their 401ks decimated by the president's impulsivity. And then when we have Scott Pruitt being defended, I'm reminded of about 12 years ago, we had a congressman named Randy Duke Cunningham who lived basically rent-free except for utilities that he paid for on a yacht or houseboat in D.C. owned by a defense subcontractor who was before his subcommittee. Duke Cunningham, he got an 8-year, 4-month federal prison sentence for that type of corruption. Scott Pruitt, he gets to keep his job and get defended by the President of the United States. Something is wrong in the state of Denmark.
Well, what's wrong is that the entire administration is corrupt. I mean, president who's never had a board of directors. He has never answered to anyone. He got this company from daddy. And so he does rule by chaos. And so the thing is, we do know that he also rules like it's an episode of Survivor or The Bachelor. So just because he tweets that says Pruitt is safe or Kelly is safe, we know that, as we've seen in the past 16 months, the next week someone could be fired. And the problem is there's no real continuity, and there's clearly no real strategy of how anything is operating, because the president just wakes up one day and says, I think I want to trans ban in the military, and here we are.
That Survivor and The Bachelor are not chaotic, and I don't think we should defame them and bring them. They actually have a structure. They have a structure which they adhere to.
Fantastic.
But look,
we're in good shape here.
He did come here. His qualifications were he played a billionaire on TV. He played a reality show host on TV. He told people that they were fired on TV. And based on that projection, his supporters believe that he's in fact the successful CEO that he portrayed himself to be. There's nothing in the Trump administration's history that actually proves that point. And so when you have somebody in the White House who's based his entire public persona on something that is underlyingly false, you have what happens now, which is a chaotic, as you pointed out, Evan, a chaotic situation with a chaotic chief executive who doesn't want to listen to a military man, General Kelly, impose any kind of discipline on him. Nobody ever has.
But if you're General Kelly at this point, why not just walk away?
Well, because listen,
you have a reputation to uphold.
Well, anyone who would even deal with this particular administration says something about you. And the problem with dealing with Trump is that he brings you down to his level. There is no way that you can sort of try and elevate him. And I think far too many people have joined this administration thinking that they can be the adult in the room or assist in helping this president understand the gravitas and the weight of this office. He refuses. And so he's basically like tar. Anyone who touches the president just gets pulled down into the mire with him. And so many people care and love and respect this nation, and they're finding out slowly but surely this president cares about himself.
Well, I have to disagree slightly with Chris, because we've seen Jim Mattis go in because he was worried that President Trump could break the world. Jim Mattis has been upstanding. He has not been corrupted, and he's been able to turn and stand up to the president. However,
the commonality that Mattis and Kelly have, they're both military men.
But Trump likes military.
But Jim Mattis has been much more effective. In terms of why doesn't John Kelly depart now? Who would replace him? It would most likely be somebody much worse. And it's sort of this gamble of damned if we do, damned if we don't.
There's been talk that the president doesn't even want a chief of staff.
Or a communications director.
But when does he have a chief of staff? But look what's happening to General Mattis now. You're talking about what's happening to Mattis. Mattis is being circled by somebody like a John Bolton. And so as a result, Mattis is probably going to be pushed aside tomorrow, by the way. Right, who starts tomorrow, which, by the way, is a former colleague of mine, scares the bejesus out of me because I know exactly what he stands for. And so the reason I say all that is because when you have Donald Trump surrounding himself with people who want to espouse his worldview, Larry Kudlow, who was against tariffs until just today when he's suddenly for them when he works for the White House, Christina is absolutely right. You work for this president, you get brought down to his level, anything that John Kelly brought to the table, anything he could have brought to the table, has long been gone because this president does not believe in John Kelly or anything that John Kelly could have stood for. So either John Kelly enables the president, or John Kelly gets fired or just pushed to the side. There's nothing in it for John Kelly.
I just want to bring this up before we go because we don't have much time left, but Scott Pruitt, do you feel like, and Evan, I'll go to you on this one, do you feel like his days are numbered here? Here's the dirty secret. The president believes that Scott Pruitt is really one of the most effective people in his administration. And it seems as if that is one of the reasons why he hasn't kicked him to the curb quite yet. That's if you believe in the president's energy policy and what he wants to institute in this country. Under that measure, he thinks that Pruitt is effective. Do you think his days are numbered, or do you think he's going to stick by Pruitt?
I think he is hearing from the media, you got to buckle, or he's hearing from liberal media, you got to absolutely get rid of Scott Pruitt. And he's hearing from conservative media, you got to buckle down. This is just a plot to take down your administration. America great, or whatever the heck the line of the day is. And I think he's going to buckle down pretty hard. I think the president also forgets that you could put any Republican who's not going to have these $50 a night condo things, who's not going to abuse his office, who's not going to spend more taxpayer money on things that are absolutely ridiculous, and they could still get the same results. It could have a no drama EPA administrator who's a Republican without the drama, and I think we're going to still see more drip, drip, drip of what's out there with Scott Pruitt, because this probably is the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, I have a feeling the Pruitt situation is not going to go away.
Old enough to remember when he wanted to drain the swamp. Remember that?